The Catholic nun began to pull the bedsheet in a near tug of war with my cousin to get it nice and tight. That's the thing that my cousin says she cannot get out of her mind, was pulling that bedsheet as the Catholic nun pulled the bedsheet in the opposite direction. Welcome to Paranormal Christian. Let's tell stories. If you are interested in these types of things, happenings of the paranormal, if you like to visit any of the locations, I cannot recommend a place any more than Arcadia Academy in Arcadia, Missouri. It's only about a 25-minute drive from where I am, and the amount of stories that come out of this place are limitless. Without a doubt, some people are hypersensitive and hypersensational, really, I should say, to make things up, catch something out of your corner of your eye and make something out of it. But there are a lot of very honest people that have some unexplainable experiences about Arcadia Academy. And it seems in the decades and decades and decades that place has existed, the stories just don't slow down. They seem to still be happening. I've got a couple that have happened to me personally, one that's happened to my wife, one that I'm going to share today, and then I know a few more of the stories, but you'll probably want to check it out. It may be interesting to note that the way that Arcadia Academy was a Catholic boarding school. It is no longer in use as a Catholic boarding school that is run by the nuns that lived there. Now it is used as a wedding venue. You can stay there, a bed and breakfast. They have the Abbey Kitchen, which is a wonderful restaurant. You can go there and get ice cream. You can get big homemade cinnamon rolls with cream cheese frosting and everything like this. And so it's a really neat place to visit. There is a large cemetery. A cemetery, I wouldn't say it's too large, that is there. Years and years ago, when settlers were first coming through the area, it is my understanding that they were very thirsty and they could not find water. The story goes like this. They prayed for water. They say that the Virgin Mary appeared to them, and they went to where she was standing, and that spot marks a spring, a natural spring where they found water. I'm just relaying the story. If you go there today, you will find the spring is there, and they have built a statue there to mark and commemorate this happening. But today, I don't want to talk about the history of Arcadia Academy. I want to tell you about when my cousin went. When she was in school and a group of kids went as a work project to help to do some cleanup and some repairs and maintenance and painting, etc., etc. They were there with their group leader from the school and also with the representative from Arcadia Academy. And so the representative, the gentleman that was, one of the owners or whatever the case of Arcadia Academy, he would take them into an area and tell them what needed done. And then their school leader would divvy up the work and make sure that the kids were doing what they were supposed to be doing. My cousin and her friend at some point said, we need to use the restroom. And so the man from Arcadia Academy said, here's what you do. You go down that hallway about this far, and then you make a right, and then you make a left, and then you make a right, and you're going to find yourself at the restrooms in the middle of the old bunking areas. It was a hallway full of rooms with bunks where the boys and the girls, lived, where they would stay. And I should also mention that there are some big fire doors at different break points along these hallways. And then there are the restrooms. There is one restroom that is pink tile. There is one restroom that is blue tile. One for the girls, one for the boys in this old living area. And so my cousin and her friend, they make their way down this hallway and they use the restroom. When they came out of the restroom, they were met by two nuns who were cleaning up some things in the area as well. And so the ladies, somewhat startled by the presence of my cousin, said, excuse me, can we help you? And she said, we're with the work group. And they said, work group. And they said, yeah, some people are here from our school and they are cleaning up and painting and this and that. And they said, oh, very good. They said, you can help us here. And so my cousin's friend went with one of the ladies, one of the nuns, and my cousin went with the other lady, who was a very nice lady. And they go into the room, one of the bunk rooms, and they were cleaning and making up the beds with some fresh linens. And so my cousin, she is standing on one side of the bed, and she has the corners of the sheet. The nun is standing on the other side, doing the same, mirroring her. And she wanted it to be nice and tight. And so they are stretching, they are pulling as tightly as they can against one another to have that thing where you could snap a quarter on it and to catch some air and bring it down on the bed and tuck under the corners. There was kind of silence and it was kind of awkward. They were working. The lady wasn't much of a conversationalist. And my cousin says to the good sister, she says, I understand there are some ghost stories about this place, Arcadia Academy. To which the sister replied, we don't talk about those. My cousin said, oh, okay. And she said, there are good ghosts. And she said, we leave them alone and they leave us alone. Kind of a strange comment. They went on making the beds and stretching the sheet against each other. My cousin heard the voice of her leader, or rather of the representative of Arcadia Academy. I can't remember which one it was that came and got them, but she went out in the hallway and he said, what are you all doing? You've been gone way too long. And she said, we're helping them to make these beds. And he said, who? Oh, this would have been the representative from the academy. He said, you're helping who to make the beds? She said, we're helping these nuns to make the beds. He said, nuns? She said, yes. He said, there haven't been nuns here in years. And he said, furthermore, there is nobody in this part of the building of any kind. No one is staying here right now, and no one's going to be here for another couple of months. There were no nuns. There were no ladies. There was no one in that part of the building. They were gone. My cousin says the thing that messes with her the most to this day is that it never crossed her mind that she was encountering anything but a human being, a lady, a nun standing there in full physical form. It never crossed her mind that she was anything less than just a lady that worked there at Arcadia Academy or lived there, attended it. And she said the thing that she cannot get out of her head was pulling against that sheet, and that nun pulling against that sheet and making it tight as they made the beds. Ladies and gentlemen, all I can tell you is that my cousin believes what happened to her. It seemed very evident to me that she was not making it up. I can't know what happened. I wasn't there. But my cousin believes this. She had this experience and she believes this. What do you think when you hear this kind of a story? What do you think could have possibly happened? Well, you don't know me or my cousin, and now the story is getting several people out. You may just think it's completely fabricated. And that's okay. It's a good story anyway, right? This is what we want to hear. We want to hear these types of things. We want to hear your thoughts, and we want to hear your experiences. Would you mind to follow us right now? Check us out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Check out paranormalchristian.com. Grab you some merch to support what we're doing and to let people know that you're about it and to help spread the word. And while you're there, you can fill out the contact form to send us your story. And we're going to pick out the best ones. And with your permission, I will retell the story. You may even end up with some free merch if I really, really like the story. And so keep the stories coming and keep them PC.